Hello, I'm Tyler Hartman. The work I'm going to discuss today is the first chapter of Thomas Kidd's book, Benjamin Franklin, The Religious Life of a Founding Father. The work as a whole discusses the fact that although Benjamin Franklin took issue with the religious establishment, his Puritan upbringing permeated through his intellectual habits, moral framework, and social conscience. Chapter 1 outlines the religious climate of Massachusetts during his early life, as well as his family roots and Puritan inheritance. It goes into his reading habits and the early literary influences on his life, which led to his path to skepticism and deism, ultimately resulting in his persona as Silent Dogwood and his departure from Boston, initiating his independence. Some of the weaknesses of this piece of work are the fact that the author is a prominent evangelical historian with an interest in showing the religious side of Benjamin Franklin. The conclusions drawn by the author, when not backed up directly by quotes from Benjamin Franklin himself, are likely assumptions he made with this specific worldview and motivation. On the other hand, he often takes Benjamin Franklin at his word regarding his younger self's mindset and beliefs. This word, it is important to note, comes from his autobiography, which is a recollection written by an old man of his youth. Historians need to be wary of the limits of memory and motivation Franklin may have had for telling a story the way he did as a politically savvy adult. Historical records and other time-appropriate sources are valuable. However, the younger Franklin did not keep a diary of these years. The Silent Dogwood letters as a primary source are difficult to navigate and find his true beliefs as they were written as satire. It's hard to distinguish where his true beliefs ended and the satire began. The strengths are that Kidd does effectively show the ties Benjamin Franklin had to Orthodox Christianity, and that his disagreement and ire were with the hypocritical establishment of various religious institutions, and not necessarily with God himself. Kidd shows that Benjamin Franklin's love of virtue comes in a large part from his religious background and the books he read as a youth. This is supported by the Autobiography of Benjamin Franklin itself, when he wrote, "There was a book of Defoe's called Essays on Projects, and another of Dr. Mather's called the Essays to Do Good, which perhaps gave me a true turn of thinking that had an influence on some of the principal future events of my life." Kidd's questioning the meaning of Franklin's self-pronounced deism is echoed by other historians as well. Stephen K. Green, in his Inventing a Christian America, The Myth of the Religious Founding, acknowledged that Franklin was a complex person, defying any single or simple designation. Some of his core beliefs were consistent with the Christian faith: a belief in God, a general providence, prayer, and the immortality of the soul, and the need to live a virtuous life. He acknowledged a more active providential presence than did true deists. A book review written by Ian Clary of Colorado University states that Kidd's book is clearly written, demonstrating a careful reading of primary and secondary sources, following Franklin's religious development from a Calvinist upbringing to the radical deism of his career as a printer in Philadelphia, and finally settling into a more praxis-oriented, doctrineless Christianity in his later political life.